Okay, here's a little side-by-side swing analysis with Charl Schwartzl. On the left, you've got me with the V1 Sports app and the guys from Top Speed Golf, which I used a little bit this summer to get online lessons. He's drawn the lines there. Talking about the takeaway, which is pretty good. Nice wide takeaway. And then you look at Schwartzl there. It looks like Rubber Man compared to Dumpy Joe here on the left. I didn't know Schwartzl was in that good a shape. Top of the swing, things aren't looking too bad there. He pointed out the left heel coming off the ground, which he was fine with. It looks like my belt buckle is turning farther away from the target than his is, which I always thought was what you're supposed to do, is really turn those hips. But if you look at the guys these days, they don't have as much, in my opinion, of a hip turn going back than I would have thought. They have a really big shoulder turn, less on the hips, and those hips get turning toward the target earlier, much earlier than the average golfer and much earlier than me. I have this goal of trying to change my swing into the modern swing, which includes shallowing the club a lot to help with consistency and direction, straightness, what they call dispersion, which is less left and right. When you look at this, I think the top half of our bodies are pretty close, and I'm kind of reiterating some of the stuff that my golf pro said. His name is Robin Rosado on Top Speed Golf. I really like Top Speed Golf. Out of all the ones that I've searched for and found in the last year and a half or so, they're consistently my favorite. They offer a lot of stuff. I would advise checking it out. Plus the guys just are, friendly and cool, and they really know their stuff. So anyway, one of the things that stands out at me on this swing is how his knees, along with his belt buckle, are starting to point toward the target as well. I mean, that's something that I never even think about. But the top half looks pretty good. Although if you look at our wrists, he doesn't appear to have that bowing wrist. It's very similar to mine from this angle. This is an important point here. This is the first video that I ever sent to these guys, so this is legitimately my old swing without any modifications. This is the beginning of the summer. I unfortunately didn't appear to change too much over the course of the summer. I don't know why, but I did start hitting the ball, I think, more consistently and more solid. Sometimes, maybe just a couple degrees of bowing the wrist provided a little bit more square contact for me. So as we go through this, I added a couple of arrows myself coming up, but you can see Schwartzl there. I wish I could have had Robin Rosado's dialogue over this, his analysis of the swing, because it's a lot more clear and accurate coming from him, and more legit, obviously. So anyway, he was talking about lag here, how I have a lot of lag, which is good, helps club head speed, obviously. But the differences between the top of my body, here we go, this is called early extension, where my knee is pointing where the arrow was going, and Schwartzl is really torquing and straightening out that left leg and pulling. It appears to me, and I never asked him this because it never occurred to me at the time, the left hip and left buttock back, and we'll get into this later when the down the line swing is analyzed. And look at his right heel is really high off the ground here. That's one thing that I'm trying to work on. I think the down the line is coming up next, and there's a little bit of a breakdown there, which I don't like. That's probably because I'm not standing up through the shot. I'm more like sliding and early extending. Here's with Koepka. Koepka is one who really bows his wrist at the top. He's drawn a line here to show how far away from that wall I'm getting, and that's the early extension. And you'll see Koepka here. He keeps his hips deep, which I believe is the same as keeping your butt against the wall. Those arrows right there are showing how I'm early extending in that direction over there. And that's exactly my problem. I mean, sometimes I can shoot a 75, sometimes I can shoot a 95. Because if I get into trouble, especially around the greens, the deep stuff, I don't have the short game to recover. I have to keep it down the fairway and on the green to be able to have any chance at all. So he's drawn a chair right there and suggesting a drill that I could do at home, which would include taking a swing and trying to keep my butt up against that chair the entire time. Another thing that he pointed out, which I worked on this summer, was trying to possibly stand a little closer to the ball, because there's no way that I can keep that right elbow in and do what they call the crunch if I'm that far away from the ball. It's a little bit easier to swing outside to in or on that shallow swing path, I've found out if I'm standing a little bit closer to the ball, a lot of times I'll forget to do that. I'll be working on 4 or 5 other different things and forget to stand a little closer to the ball. So I'm like, it's like a total uphill battle. I mean, you can't win that battle if you don't have some of the fundamentals in place when you start. So it's a constant pendulum of trying to, remind myself of all these things. When I do get a chance to get to the range, which is not very often, I live in a cold weather state, and now we're looking at Koepka. I mean, look at how much his wrist is bowed and how deep he keeps those hips, and then straightens that leg, kind of standing up, which is a motion that I think should happen slowly, relatively slowly. Like, I don't think you want to jerk yourself up. There's no sense in doing that. It's just a slow kind of slight stand up through the hitting zone. It's another thing that I got to work on, and when I do it right, it's really kind of simple in a way. It's very easy to hit a good shot, but the hard part is hitting them over and over again. So I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Got to work on getting the uhs and ums and ahs out of there.